Aircon's off.
If you press...
And the mics are working. Hurrah, hurrah,
Yay.
hurrah.
You got a nice tan, James.
Thank you very much. Lovely holiday.
Did you go somewhere nice?
It was somewhere tropical.
Was it?
Yeah.
Pina coladas.
It was in the land of not pressing buttons properly.
Beautiful.
That's
you are going there, are you? We weren't sure whether we were going to come clean about what happened.
Oh,
Hang on, there's no we about it, James.
No, I think we should collectively take the blame. We didn't realise that James had fucked it.
I mean,
that's one way of looking at it.
We probably could have guessed, to be fair.
Well, we knew James had fucked it,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
not until James had fucked it.
Not until not exactly how I
So
did
just
it.
to be clear, we
Yes.
recorded 45 minutes of quality content last week.
We did.
To find out that
Possibly our best content
It
ever.
was our best yet.
Yeah.
just to find out that we hadn't recorded 45 minutes of quality content.
It was 45 minutes of silence.
It was so bad.
Possibly our best ever content.
It was like one of the busiest days I'd ever had. And then Nikki basically turned around and said, can you just stop the podcast for a minute? I was
Exactly.
like, no!
The producer stepped in and noticed a technical error.
Anyway, we need to be really quick tonight.
Let's do it. That's going to really freak Lawrence
I was
out.
just about to say the same
So
thing.
do a slow one for him, though. We don't have time. We'll
No,
do
we
a
haven't
slow
got
one.
Who are we and why are we here?
We are the Popcorn Pundits. I'm James Michael Mulcrone. This is Peter James Unger.
Hi.
And I've got a Thatcher behind me. Don't you know? This is Nikki Smart.
Hi.
We are the trio of cinema lovers, giving you information about what's going on at the cinema, highlighting one or two films that we've seen at the cinema, and then Peter's talking about one or two bits of homework that I've given him. We're going to be super quick tonight.
We're going to be super quick. Yeah, I caught up on all my homework, so I've got 2 homeworks.
Oh, have you?
And I
Good.
recommended a homework for you. I'm still talking
You are.
too fast.
You've given me the homework, and I've watched it, and I'm going to give you my review. Everything's cool. It's all under control.
happy?
I'm very happy.
Number 10, Venom: The Last Dance.
Still around.
It's still around.
Still around.
My curse of the colon is
Yes.
is still correct as far as I
He's
can.
making a lot of money at that film, and quite frankly, he deserves it.
Yeah, good luck to him.
Yes.
Okay, give me a second. Didn't know this was coming. Number 9, Listy Do M. 6, open brackets, Letters to Santa 6, close brackets.
Wow.
I believe it's a Polish film about Christmas.
I hope so.
Is that the entire script I've just read out?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, that's a long title, isn't it?
And the end as well.
Not as long. Okay. And number 8, here we come. Here comes James. Tosca Met Opera 2024.
Not a film.
Number 7, Small Things Like These.
Want to see this?
Yeah, I want to see it too. Where's it on? It's not on anywhere.
I'm
Please,
just
cinemas,
waiting for my.
can we...
I'm waiting for my heart to be wrenched out by this movie. This has been Oscars like tipped already. This is Killian's Oscar, second Oscar.
Okay, we'll talk about your eyebrows another day.
Yes. Are they quite wavy?
One's gone batshit crazy, and
they?
I can't stop looking at it. Number 6, The Wild Robot. It's the far one.
Is it?
I want to see this, and I can now stream it
Can you?
on another 7-day free trial
I know, you've gotta
streaming
stop.
thing on.
You've got to stop
I need
doing
to
that.
do that thing on the credit card statement where you cancel all your subscriptions, because I do one to get a free film from you, and then like 4 months later I'm still getting Shudder notifications, which means I've now paid about 40 quid for that film.
Why don't you put a reminder on your calendar to cancel it?
Because I only ever remember to do it halfway through a podcast, and I'm not allowed to have my phone on me.
No, that's very
Number
true.
5, Heretic.
Yes.
Okay, we like it now, don't we?
like it.
You
We like it.
realise you were wrong, and we've come back to
I
a better
like it a
score.
lot.
Did you rescore it?
I did.
That was a long time ago, wasn't it? Number 4, Red One. Haven't seen it. We are going to go and see this.
Do you know what? I may go and see that on the 1st of December.
Okay.
The very first day of Christmas film allowing
So you
it.
haven't seen anything Christmas yet?
Not at all.
Okay, so
No.
we started. I saw a Christmas movie I've not seen
You
before.
did not.
Yeah.
In November.
Yeah.
Peter James Unger.
It was a family decision, and I promptly napped.
Oh, that's fine then. If you
That's
if you
okay.
slept through
Something
it,
like
The
fine.
Cranks. It was like a real 1980s one.
Was it?
It's got Tim something or other in it.
Tim Allen?
Tim Allen,
Oh, Father
and
Christmas.
and
yeah.
he gives up on Christmas and decides to go on a
Yeah.
cruise, and his neighbours don't
Bad
like
Santa?
it.
Not Bad Santa.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't.
Anyway, shall we
Didn't
carry
get to
on?
the end of it. I am going on. This is what I do. Number 1.
Be staying in number 1 till Christmas.
Oh, I owe James a pound because he's
Oh,
the smart
yes.
one, and I'm a fucking idiot. I got Paddington.
I want it. I mean, it's actually number 3. Never mind number 2.
I know, because so many films have come out which are going to knock this off the top spot. I am such an ignoramus. Number 3, Paddington in Peru.
Thank God for Olivia Colman. That's all I can say.
Oh, it's a decent Christmas holiday film with the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely go and see it.
Take a bottle of wine.
Exactly. Or two.
Number 2, Gladiator 2. In position 2.
In position 2.
And
We'll be talking about that in a moment.
We'll be talking about that. And number 1 is Wicked 1 in position 1.
Exactly.
I love it when that happens.
It's actually Wicked -1 at the most, isn't it?
Well, this actually has happened like 2 or 3 times over the last year or so. That number 1 won, and then number 2 2, and number 3 3. We've had that before.
And then Red 1 is number 4.
Yeah, oh, fucking hell, don't blow my mind.
Exactly.
James.
Right. So that's your top 10.
That's my top 10.
Out of the top 10, before we go into depths about our...
Well, we won't mention the top 2. We won't discuss that yet. We'll get to there. If you have kids, or you like really long films about well-animated bears, go and see Paddington.
Definitely.
Definitely go and see The Heretic. It's very good.
But don't bring your kids to go and see Heretic.
Oh, I don't know if they're 18.
18's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Wild Robot's supposed to be beautiful. I still haven't seen it. I'm going to stream that this week. I don't care if I've got to subscribe again. I do not care. Small things like these, we need to go to see it together.
We do.
We'll find out where we can see it.
I might go and see Tosca, but you won't. And Nikki, you can go and see Listy Do M.6.
Yeah.
And do you know what? If you're free on a Saturday afternoon and you want some bubblegum movie, go and see Venom.
Oh, can I finish my list before
No,
you
you
help?
can't.
Okay, fine, brilliant. Job done.
Job done.
That is the UK and Ireland top 10, according to the British Film Institute, up until the 25th of November 2024. Thank you.
Ba-ba.
Wow, there we go.
Where's your computer?
I'm going to get it in a second.
Oh, okay.
It's just charging weirdly.
Okay.
Weirdly charging. Right.
Right, where do we begin?
We're going to start at Gladiator 2.
Awesome.
We're going to start at Gladiator. We're going to start at the reintroduction of some characters that we know, an introduction of characters that we don't know, and a possibility that they're all connected somehow.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. We're returning back to the Colosseum many, many years after Russell Crowe has been killed in the Colosseum.
Yeah, not that many years. I'd say probably about 21 years.
That's long enough.
Yeah, that's long enough.
Not long enough, some might say.
We are introduced to a character
That's
played
right,
by
yes.
Paul Mescal.
That's correct. Who even in the trailers, you're not 100% sure where this character's come from, what his heritage is, who does he belong to, and what camp is he in. Very, very quickly, you immediately realise that his character is not based in Rome. He's based in a completely different country.
Africa.
That's right. And Rome
Which
is
is a
actually...
continent, not a country.
Thank you very much. And Rome is actually invading the country that he's living in at the time.
Yes.
In quite a brutal way, they invade, led by the gorgeous...
I forgot always Pedro. Whatever his name is. I always forget what his name is.
Pedro. He's leading all of the Romans to invade this country. They take over the country. They enslave anybody they don't kill.
Can I just ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Because we're running quick today, are we slating this movie as we go along, or are we going to wait for a surmise then go back and slate it?
What we're going to do is we're going to do a fairly neutral synopsis, and then we're going to slate the shit out of it at the end.
Okay, cool.
But really quickly.
I'll just leave you to that.
Just in case they don't know.
Okay.
Just in case they don't know.
Just give me a nod if you need any help.
Exactly.
Spoiler alert.
Exactly. So anyway, the slavees are taken back to Rome, and they're either killed, slaughtered, turned into slaves, or if you've got big muscles, you turn into a gladiator.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now the gladiators, and then all of a sudden, what tends to happen then is they are regurgitating the story from the last film, where there is always somebody who is mining away the best gladiators they can get a hold of, turning them into assembling them in a certain way, training them up, and then presenting them to the emperors. And on this occasion, we don't have one emperor; we've got two emperors.
Oh, that is the USP of this film, isn't it?
That's correct.
One mental emperor isn't enough. We need twin emperors.
Two for the price of one. They've given us.
Yeah.
So what we've got here is we've got Denzel Washington taking over Oliver Reed's role as the gladiator trainer and promoter. You've got
He's a gladiator pimp.
He's exactly what he is. You've got Matey Boy from Stranger Things, and also from Quiet Place, who plays one of the emperors. Mm-hmm. And somebody else, well, I can't remember who it is.
And we don't know why these emperors are wacky and weird and whatever.
I think
we don't really understand.
I think
I'm doing it. Sorry.
They're crazed by power. That's exactly what's happened. So it's exactly the format that you could expect it's going to be when you go and see a gladiator movie. There's going to be lots of hunting and grunting. There's going to be lots of sand on the floor. But what you don't realise is there's going to be lots of... Hunting and grunting.
Hunting and grunting.
Exactly.
I think you said
And-
I thought you said it was
humping.
humping as well. I just Sorry.
However, with the added bonus of water involved with this one as well, so they've introduced the options of the Colosseum being flooded and gigantic boats attacking each other with lots of exotic animals, and then as the story goes on, after the initial battles, then you realise that everybody is connected in one way or the other as the film goes on, and there's lots of vengeance, there's lots of getting around back, and there's lots of destiny as well.
Can we go now?
We can go now.
Okay. So we're back right to the beginning of your synopsis,
Yes.
where you basically said that in the trailer you didn't really know how Paul Mescal had become this gladiatorial character.
That's right.
Yeah, because the first Gladiator, that was the majority of the epic length film.
That's right.
Was kind of trying to understand how Russell Crowe became capable of taking over Rome.
Yes.
This film doesn't expect you to think about anything whatsoever.
No, it's made for idiots.
It's made for absolute clowns. There is no plot development. There is no character development.
Nope.
What I was talking about, the two twin emperors, they would never be an emperor in Rome because they've got no guts or substance or anything. They're just a pair of buffoons that argue with each other, and we're supposed to believe that they run the most powerful empire in the entire world.
Now you mentioned buffoons last time when we didn't.
Oh, yeah, we
record.
got-
and then I sidetracked to baboons.
Yes, because the baboons
Yes.
are also dreadful in this film.
Are they just?
They don't look like baboons.
No.
And this film apparently cost quite a lot of money to make.
Yes.
And
Did anybody look at the CGI before they released it? That's all I've got to say.
holy shit, the baboons were so bad.
I wasn't quite sure if they were aliens or not.
Yeah, they looked like aliens,
Yeah, they
and
did.
it's just the worst CGI I've ever seen ever. It was just.
Now,
lazy.
you weren't
And
too,
here's the editor.
and you weren't too overly impressed with the rhino. I didn't think the rhino was that bad. To be fair,
I think by the
I was
time
giving
you
it a
got
chance.
to Rhino,
you were fed up with it.
No,
You were angry.
I was really angry, and that's it's an emotion I get
You see red.
very rarely with a film, but the arrogance of this film basically expecting itself to be the biggest blockbuster of the year without putting the necessary effort in to make it that really pissed me off.
Yeah.
Like really pissed me off because there was just it just didn't have any of the gut, didn't have any of the emotion. I wanted all of the gladiators to die. The fight scenes were shocking.
The choreography in the fight scenes was so mismanaged and underdeveloped.
They barely fought.
And when a gladiator dies, he's supposed to look like he's dying rather than an act of falling over, and that's exactly what was happening.
It's a sack of potatoes.
Exactly. Let's go on to character development before we go, because we can't take too long on this. We've got some major actors in this film. You've got the likes of Denzel Washington, who pretty much regurgitated his existence from Training Day, but not half as good. They all kept their accents, which is fair enough. You can do that in like an amazing television show like Chernobyl, for instance. But you can't do this in a gigantic movie like this when you've got to plough that much money into it. And you've got the lead actor initially having a very plummy British accent, but every time he got on a pedestal, he would do a Russell Crowe impersonation.
He would. It was so funny. It was just like, I'm...
Brutimus Maximus.
There was just no need for it at all. The ending was very lame. I felt that you're right, Peter. For the first time for a long time, I agree with you in your venomness towards the whole thing. I felt that it went on far too long, and even there was almost a false ending where a lot of the characters died, and you think to yourself, what's going to happen now? And they just carried on, as if we wanted it to carry on. It wasn't a very good film.
It's such a shame that we didn't record last week because I think the venom and the vitriol towards this movie really came out last week, and it was like a therapy session. I actually left here feeling quite good.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Can you remember what we scored it? Did you write in the notes down from last week?
You gave it a 4.
No, you did.
You gave it a 4.
You gave it a 3, didn't you?
No, I gave it a 1.
I was going to say, it was definitely above 0.
Yes, there you go.
It was an angry 1, and I'm maintaining that score. And what I hate even more is that I actually, like all of us, after All of Us Strangers, I actually thought that Paul Mescal was like a really beautiful human being and actor.
Yeah.
and everything I've seen him on social media this week, I just want to. I'm just going to say I want to get off social media.
Wow. There you
He
go.
is awful.
So are we calling that a 2.5?
Yeah, we are indeed. Gladiator 2, 2.5. There are better films out there. And, you know, if you're going to go to the cinema, we're going to suggest some better ones for you.
Yes.
Still go to the cinema, but don't go and see that.
Well, you can go and see it. I mean, if you like getting angry at the screen. But to be fair, I mean, we had the discussion that IMDb have rated it 7. Because apparently all the stupid people know how to rate on IMDb.
Yes, well, we keep away from those people, don't we? So there you go. That's Gladiator 2.
Excellent.
Right. What are we doing next?
Would you not like some facts?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, as Gladiator is set in the past,
Yes.
I thought I'd bring my first ever laptop with me to find my facts.
Beautiful.
Right.
Okay.
I thought it was an alien film.
It could have been
The
an alien.
buffoon baboons. Oh, you're so funny.
That is genius. Absolutely genius.
My ribbon's a bit broken and now the
I'd
letters
rather
are
you done
stuck.
the Coca-Cola bottle. Did you hear that?
So, for those of you who are not watching this on YouTube, Nikki's now brought her typewriter out for the podcast notes.
fuck?
Exactly.
It's a typewriter.
Nikki, would you
I
like to
know
give?
what it is.
Would you like to give us some facts from the typewriter, please?
Because we've gone back in the past, don't worry, I'm not going to break your boxes that it's leaning on. So, in an interview with Simon Mayo, Ridley Scott explained how he sold the Kingdom of Heaven to the Moroccan government for $10, as it was cheaper than dismantling it. He then had to rehire it from the same government for use in this movie as the city scene at the very start.
Right.
And Mr. Saltburn was originally cast as Emperor Gita, but had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts.
Oh, really? Barry was?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And
Oh, I
Joseph
think he
Quinn
would have been
replaced
quite good,
him.
wouldn't
It
it?
might have helped it.
Yeah.
The first trailer of this received 128 million online views within the first 24 hours, the second most of any Paramount film after Transformers Rise of the Beast, which had
Inside Out too.
238 million. That's not Paramount,
I
is
know,
it?
I was just joking.
Anything? Do you want any more?
Yes,
No,
yes,
no,
please.
no. I don't want to. I don't want to know any more about this movie at all now.
Do you know one about Sir Ridley Scott?
Go on then.
So this is the second time Sir Ridley Scott directed a sequel of his own films after Alien. So there we go.
Yeah. Hopefully he's learned his lesson. That's Nikki's update.
Old school update.
I like the noise.
Okay, so what are we doing? Nikki, would you like us to do a film? Would you like us to do homework?
Do Wicked 2.
Or do we got any other reviews that we need to do in between the two?
No.
Can we punctuate it? No. Okay, let's move on to Wicked 1 then.
Wicked
Oh,
one.
Wicked 2.
Wicked one.
So Wicked 1 has been trailed forever.
It has. It has. It has.
And there's a pink one and there's a green one.
There is a pink one and there is a green one.
Like the Power Rangers.
Have you seen the musical up in?
I
up
have.
In, I went to see it in the height of summer, and it was a bazillion degrees in there, and it smelled of children's feet.
Did it?
And I don't.
What's the difference between children's feet and adults' feet? Smell.
About 6 inches.
And what about the smell?
You know that teenage smell.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
adults' feet are more blue cheesy.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for verifying that. Anyway, carry on.
Young children
Yes.
develop their sweat
I can't remember the
glands.
temperature that when I went to see it.
Do you remember it?
I do remember. I remember it, but I don't remember the ending. Okay, and also, I do. What Sophie keeps reminding me is that when I've been watching the trailers for this film, because I've got a fairly good eye for trailers. I've got a fairly good track record. I've turned around to Sophie and went, "That actually looks quite good in the trailer." You see, and every time I've said that in the past, Sophie would turn around to me and go, "Well, you didn't like the stage show. Why would you possibly like the film?"
I hated the stage show. I hate musicals.
Yeah, I quite like a musical.
I love
I like
can't
a
stand
musical.
them.
I like a
I
musical.
went to see Cats when I was a kid, and my mum and dad left me in the reception.
Auditorium.
Well, no. They went into the auditorium and they left me by the concession stands.
Yeah.
And it took about 20 minutes for them to realise I wasn't there. I think I might have been the cause.
And
It
is
might have
that
been-
the reason
actually,
that-
I'm wrong. It might have been Starlight Express.
I was
but
gonna
anyway,
say.
There we go. It was one of those two.
Cats is the greatest.
Yeah. Okay. So we went to see this film, which
We did.
was 2 hours 40 minutes.
Well, like a very good post that you sent me earlier on. There's been a lot of people whinging about how long this movie is.
It's the longest film I've ever seen. Ever.
Even before they've gone to see the film. Oh, I've got one about birds. It goes on for 5 hours.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it goes
I'm
on for
not
5
doing it as
hours.
homework. You can go fuck yourself.
Anyway, so like a lot of posts have been going on social media at the moment. Everybody's been whinging about how long this movie is on long form, particularly because it's only the first part of the story and there's a two-parter.
Yeah, I mean the stage show's like 3 hours. I mean it's unnecessarily long.
Okay, so it's a prequel to the classic Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Starting with the end of Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
At the start of the movie, which I thought took me a little bit by surprise initially, particularly the darkness of the start of this as well took me a little bit by surprise, I must say.
The thing that surprised me is the fact that they got Mick Hucknall to star in it. That was the thing that really.
He
got me
comes
at the
later on
beginning.
though, doesn't he?
Right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
He's one of the first characters that comes out.
He is indeed. I do, but. He hasn't sung for a while, has he, really? So it's a bit short on cash. So it's, to me, the opening scene, and it won't ruin it for anybody, the opening scene is very dark and it's got flying monkeys. I mean, it was a perfect start for me as a movie. Any movie that starts with a flying monkey is a good start, is a good movie.
I just think you have to remember that The Wizard of Oz is one of the greatest movie starts of all time. It introduced us into the wonderful world of glory multicolour or whatever.
Exactly, yes.
You start watching in black and white.
And special effects.
And
all those different things.
So it had a lot to live up to. And it was a great start, but I think it had maybe let's say it had too much to live up to because of the history of the original film.
I agree.
In my mind.
I agree. So what we have here is we've got would you like to go through the list of actors and a director?
Oh, I haven't got them written down, James.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I was working very late.
Would you like to read these out?
Yeah, sure. Where do I begin?
At the bottom.
Okay, so it is directed by John M. Chu. Lead actors are Cynthia. Oh, I see why you did this.
Yes.
Erizo
Yes.
as Elphaba.
Elphaba.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ariana Grande
Yes.
as Glinda.
Glinda.
And Jonathan Bailey as Fiyero.
He was brilliant.
Well, they were brilliant.
They were all brilliant. So what we've got there is you've got to cast. And the only person I really knew, well, obviously, was the character who plays Glinda.
Yeah, Ariana Grande.
Yeah, because she's a singer, isn't she? I think.
She is a singer, and she's been on like loads of kids' TV programs and stuff
Disney
like that.
and things like that.
I knew her from that VMA Awards thing that she did with The Weeknd, which, being the big butch man that I am, I cry every time I hear them do the duet.
Oh.
What song's that?
I'll play it to you later on.
Okay.
But if you do VMA Awards, The Weeknd spelt weirdly,
Yeah.
and Ariana Grande, basically she comes out and sings one of his songs and smashes the chorus so much that The Weeknd just looks at her and goes, amazing. Like that, like halfway through
I'm
the
not
song.
familiar with her, so I came to this film completely cold to all of the actors and even obviously I've seen the stage show, but I was hoping the film was going to be slightly different, which it was. It was now immediately once I started, before we get onto the storyline of this, because obviously the storyline everybody's familiar with a little bit of this. Immediately, my first thought of watching this film on at the cinema was, I was immediately brought to the attention that this is an oddity. This film is okay.
What did you say?
This is an oddity.
An oddity?
Yeah, it's an oddity because
Okay.
if you think about it, you have the likes of Mean Girls.
Yeah,
Okay, which is obviously a musical film, and then
Yeah.
it's been turned into a stage show.
yeah.
Okay,
Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge, and so on and so forth. So this is exactly the opposite. So what you have is you have the initial film, which is Wizard of Oz, which started off as a film,
Yes.
and then the sequel to that, or the prequel to that, was then created as a stage show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then turned into a musical on the big silver screen.
Yeah.
Now the big difference I've noticed between this musical and your normal musicals like the likes of Wicked, the Mean Girls and so on and so forth, is that it really did feel like a stage show. The way that the actors were talking, they were singing, and the whole atmosphere felt more like a stage show rather than a film that happened to be a musical.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Were you surprised at what key they sang their songs in? Because I always kind of think that when you go and see a film which is a musical, that especially when it's directed towards younger people, because
Yes.
we were the only two people at the cinema that weren't 16-year-old girls, I couldn't reach those notes,
No.
and I've got quite a high
No.
squeaky voice,
In-
I just think it's not a sing along, is it?
So initially, the first 5 or 10 minutes where they introduce the fairy godmother,
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed.
Oh, were you
No,
not?
initially because the notes were too piercing. There was no correlation with the story with the notes, and the notes were what she was really doing. She was doing an impersonation of the original godmother from the original movie, just to slip you in there.
Slip it in.
Exactly, and then when she started talking, that's when the whole thing changed for me completely.
Okay. So yeah, I was expecting to know the songs more than I did in this, and I think my ignorance of this as a stage show, even though I went to see it,
Yes.
I think I've maybe blocked it out of my head.
I think you have, because it's been mentioned to me many times, particularly the last song has been mentioned to me many times by people go, oh, did they sing that? And I went, oh, you know that song.
Okay, so my point being, what I was getting to
Yes.
before you
I'm
rudely
agreeing with you.
interrupted me, was that I knew the last song,
Right.
and it just felt like an awfully long build-up of songs I'd never heard before to get to the one that I did.
Okay.
Very happy to hear the one that I did at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've hit on the songs. We've hit a little bit on some of the character development at the start. But overall, the storyline is that we have the Wicked Witch of the West
Yeah.
is dead. Okay.
Yes.
Because that's what happened at the end of
Ding
the first
dong.
one. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Which old witch?
The Wicked Witch. And then, however, immediately, within the first 5 minutes, you realise that this story is not going to be what you'd expect.
No, it's not.
Within the first 5 minutes, you realise that you're watching the whole story from a different perspective.
Yeah.
You're looking at it from a perspective that was not obvious at all in The Wizard of Oz. So you're looking at the story from a younger version of the fairy godmother, and also obviously a young version of the Wicked Witch of the West as well, and how both characters developed, turned into each other, and then parted their ways and became mortal enemies.
Yeah, because when you said that you didn't like the very beginning of this film, when Ariana Grande is asked whether she knew the Wicked Witch of the West,
Yes.
and she says that she did know her and
Yes.
how she knew her, I thought you meant you didn't like it beyond that part, because
No.
that to me it was a goosebumps moment.
Yeah, yeah.
In that you knew that what you were about to watch.
Oh, yeah. I'll
was
tell you a story.
Was absolutely not what I was expecting
Exactly,
to watch.
yeah.
It was very, very clever.
So you've got so many Easter eggs in this movie. You could just throw Easter. The ruby red slippers are brought up at least once throughout the movie, which is absolutely beautiful. So you followed the adolescent characters going from school into university and then beyond, and how they meet the Wizard of Oz and how Oz is built, and so you get a lot of background stories. And we can't give too much away because obviously we don't want to give any of the story plot away that people don't know anything about the original story plot.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Jeff Goldblum we could talk about.
Oh,
Jeff Goldblum.
Yes, please.
Jeff
all day,
Goldblum.
every day.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like the wizard character was made for him,
It
wasn't
was.
it? I mean, he is
yes, he is the bumbling salesman that happened to turn into this.
incredible.
Absolutely
And even that
incredible.
little shoe shuffle that he does
Yes.
just makes me
Yeah.
happy.
So what you have here is you've got a film that is promising a lot. It's got gigantic shoulders to stand on, with a lot of pressure on it. Has it come up with that? We'll find out in a moment.
When?
In a second. Let's just keep talking. Okay.
Okay.
So
Does Peter get a chance to speak?
No,
yet?
this is fine.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying this. This is good. Can we have some film references?
yes, you can. Les Mis.
Okay.
With the you've got the fantastic crowd pleasing moments of all of the it's like the semi-mutiny-esque moments where they're all singing together, and they've got this. I think Les Mis is a really good reference. However, I think Wonka is a perfect reference.
Yeah, Wonka's
To
absolutely there.
Yeah, to me, this is this year's Wonka, and it's going to be a Christmas movie every year for people, like the Wizard of Oz used to be for
Oh,
Christmas
I forgot
people.
the name of it. What's the movie when the Disney characters come into New York and then there's the big witch who turns into a dragon at the end of it? Recently came out with Amy Adams.
Enchanted.
In it. Enchanted.
And then the second one that recently came out is Disenchanted.
Oh, okay.
And it's got James.
Okay, I haven't seen Disenchanted, but there was so much Enchanted in this for me, and especially with the with the.
Because I haven't seen Enchanted, I wouldn't have admitted
Oh,
it as a
okay. Well,
reference.
yeah. So there's huge similarities.
Yes. However, what you
I actually just did a wicked thing. The vocabulary in this
It's-
film
it's
is
beautiful.
absolutely
beautiful.
wonderful.
However, what you have here is you've got a combination of Mean Girls and Harry Potter. Okay, because what you have here is, unlike the original movie, which is it's a road movie where Dorothy takes her merry crowd through the Yellow Brick Road, and in reference to Yellow Brick Road is beautiful in this film, by the way. Absolutely fantastic.
Cool, yeah.
What you have here is you've got a coming of age movie based in a university or college as you would do in America, and you've got the little gangs, you've got everything that you'd expect from the likes of Mean Girls. You've got the it girl and what's her name? Glinda. She plays the most amazing it girl who is so superficial, so two-dimensional, so self-important, but with a fantastic level of humour, and the timing's absolutely perfect.
She's more layered than that, though, isn't she? Because she's not that. She's not that fickle. She does know what she's doing, and the further the film goes through, Ariana Grande, I didn't know that much about her other than her singing and the fact that she was on some kids programs on this. She absolutely glues this film together.
She nails it completely.
She is absolutely insanely amazing, and the depth of character that she puts in, because that could easily be miscast and misperformed as that just two-dimensional shallow character that is the Mean Girls, but she's not. She actually knows what she's doing, and I found that absolutely fascinating. The kind of the development of her character through this, and her understanding that beauty isn't all. We have to talk about race when we talk about this film, because the Wicked Witch is green, but we are talking about black and white in this film, absolutely 100%. And there's a massive nod towards propaganda, right? And we're in a huge. We're in a world at the moment where people don't really know or understand where to obtain neutral media, and this talks about that in a very discreet way.
Yeah, and there's fake news involved, there's rumours, and there's a lot of cross-dressing in this film, as well as in the background. And what I like about this film is there's lots of gender-neutral characters in this film, but because it's based in a school, it's all uniform based. So what you have is it's not as obvious as it would be, say for instance, in another film. So you've got characters in the background that are sort of androgynous in their dress, where it could be half a skirt, it could be a pair of trousers, and so on and so forth.
But then also you've got a dance scene with Prince Charming, who's basically dancing around a dining room.
That's right.
And every human
adores him.
In that room falls in love with him.
Male, female, cat, dog.
But then, I mean, the nice thing about what you're talking about as well, to me, was we're talking about disabled actors, we're talking about cross-gender actors, we're talking about black, white, green, blue, pink, orange, purple.
Animals.
They're not shoehorned in.
No.
It's the most natural environment ever. It doesn't feel like they're there to prove a point. It just feels like a normal classroom, and well done, because that's the first time I've ever seen that in a film.
And to me, it's one of the first films also that's really taken on the Harry Potter mantle and go, right, we're going to do something quite similar, but we're going to do our own vibe with it. But if you like Harry Potter, you've got to adore this film as well, because it's got a vibe and it's impossible not to, because you're looking at a similar scenario. You're looking at people picking each other at school. You're looking at different scenarios in a schoolyard as well. So there's lots of similarities with that.
Yeah, you are watching Wonka and Harry Potter blended together, but it is so uniquely wonderful as a standalone thing on its own. It doesn't. I can't think of anything. So there was the Enchanted and the Prince Charming in this character for me were quite close. That was kind of the closest comparison that I had. You should see that. You would love it. But other than that, I just thought this was so unique, the whole way they put it together, and considering it is the prequel to one of the most famous films ever made.
Exactly.
It just nods to it without it being plagiarised. It was stunning.
Yeah, absolutely. And it took me completely by surprise, because although I'd addressed it in the advert and go, this could be quite good, I was still expecting me to be wrong when I turned up to the cinema.
I honestly thought that this was going to be a decent film put together, but just so not my thing, because I'm just not the person that it's made for. But I realised I'm the person that it's made for. I can't stop singing Gravity. I've literally sung it all day at work under my breath. It's yeah.
Is that what that noise was?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the air conditioner this week. Can we start gushing madly about it, please?
Yes, you can.
I fucking love this film.
It's good, isn't it?
I went to the cinema absolutely dreading having to sit there for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I think
Everybody did.
Yeah, and I took 2 gins and a bottle of wine with me.
I noticed.
And I did drink them. I did drink them both, but I just thought it was going to be getting through. I kept looking at my phone to see what time it was.
Did
I
you?
hope I didn't annoy Sophie.
Well, to be fair, there was somebody 2 to 3 steps down from me looking at their phone ever so often.
The reason I looked at my phone to see what time it was because I did not want this thing to end.
Ah.
I'm honestly,
Yeah.
this is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've watched some films which have been a bit better than I was expecting them to be. I was absolutely blown away by Ariana Grande, and I think she is. I think it has to be Oscar nomination, doesn't it?
For a film, definitely. For the film,
cinematography has to be.
Yeah.
Film has to be.
Yeah.
She carried this thing.
she did.
She's supporting actress, no?
She could be? Did you recognise? Talk about supporting actors and smaller actors in the film. Did you recognise the witch's father?
Did I? No.
So your top hat,
Yeah.
very angry.
Beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the actor from
Men.
Ghost Stories.
Oh, right, okay.
He's the main actor from Ghost Stories.
Right, okay.
So I clocked him straight away, and I was going to look over to you, and I thought, no, I won't ruin it for you. And I thought I'd bring it up.
This is just like 3 hours of absolute wonderment.
Didn't get bored once. Very clever.
It's just beautiful. I didn't want it to end. It's just, honestly, it's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I sent you that clip earlier on of the bloke who's going up there going, oh, this thing's 2 hours 40. And it's only the first half of the music. Towards the end, I was hoping, when's the next one? I want to see it again. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it.
Exactly.
It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I need to do some major research about all the Easter eggs as well.
The reason I pointed out at the beginning
Yes.
and the comparison to the original film was because I have to find something to not score this a 10. And that's why I pointed that out at the beginning, because it is that amazing. This film is so, in my mind, it's so brilliantly put together.
Yeah, it's very clever. Very. I mean, there's obviously references to even to Barbie as well. There's so many references to
absolutely.
some of the great movies.
Maybe sometimes you just say, actually, standing alone on its own.
Yes.
It's fucking excellent.
Yeah, very, very good. So, Nikki, what facts do you have for us?
So in an oh no, that's Gladiator 2. So practical sets were built and supplemented with CGI rather than being filmed on green or blue screen.
Right.
The director wanted the Wonderful Wizard of Oz world to feel like a real place rather than just a computer-generated background.
Yeah, you could feel that in the film as well.
And that included planting 9 million tulips to serve as part of the landscape for Munchkin Land.
Wow.
Sometimes when you're walking through doorways in this film, you could actually see real plants. And
Yeah.
I must admit, there's a couple of times when, I know that's a watch-the-face.
Yeah.
And you did notice it.
And the name of the Wicked Witch, Elphaba, was created by taking phonetic pronunciation of the original Wizard of Oz author's name.
Oh, really?
Which is L.F. Brahm, whose initials are LFB, which became Elphaba.
Elphaba, okay.
Yeah, Elphaba.
The leading duo insisted on singing live during filming, and according to the director, he said, "We were shooting it. Those girls were like, F the pre-records, we're going live." That was my...
Smashed it.
They did.
Song after song after song.
They did.
And then when you get to the end song, I mean, it doesn't matter how small your heart is, you're going to have... Your hairs are going to stand up.
You're going to be
goosebumps.
floating above the ground because you can't bring me down.
And you mentioned, obviously, the slippers.
Yes.
So during the popular song, Glinda showcases ruby slippers and taps them together 3 times
So brilliant.
in homage to the No Place Like Home spell from the Wizard of Oz 1939. An extra special sentiment for Elphaba as she feels like she belongs for the first time.
Yes.
Cynthia and Ariana Grande's performances during the audition reportedly brought the crew to tears.
Wow.
You can actually see online their auditions, and I've watched them more than once, a few times, and they're amazing. A couple of others. Actress Marissa Bode uses a wheelchair in real life and not just for her character in the movie. And then this is my favourite fact. To help publicise the film, on the day of its UK release, actor Jeff Goldblum, who plays Wizard of Oz in the movie,
He played piano, didn't
sat in London's King's Cross International Railway Station playing the piano, drawing attention to surprise public and tourists.
He's so cool.
Yeah, he
he's
is.
so...
Oh,
I
he's-
mean,
he's
he
got
must be
jazz back.
104, but he looks so cool.
You still would, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
I do have one final fact, which
Go
I
on.
think you gents might laugh at.
Go
on.
So the first non-Disney musical to gross over 100 million in its opening weekend. However, it was revealed early in November 2024 that Mattel accidentally printed the URL to an adult film site, which is very similar to the official movie website on the back of the packaging for their dolls. Mattel said a recall was in process, but many of them had already hit eBay as collector's items.
Oh, we need to get hold of one of them,
I
don't we?
thought I should end on that fact.
The Popcorn Pundits should own one of them. However, I do have another fact for you that you may not have noticed.
Okay.
There are two characters at the end of the film, and they are, and I think they are two. They're two actors that were actually in the original production of Wicked.
Right.
Okay, and they're two witches at the end, at the very very end, and they each play the two lead roles in Wicked, and I can't remember who it is. Nikki will no doubt will find out before the end of the podcast who they are, because my wife clocked them straight away. Okay, so scores on the doors, and then we're going to come back to that fact. Do it.
Oh, 9.2.
Do it.
Oh, wow.
Do it, Anakin. Do it. I gave it.
Nothing.
9.5.
Wow.
Yeah, it's thereabouts. I just don't want to score it as high as June 2.
No.
So that's 9.35, so we're saying 9.4.
Yes, we
That's
are.
right.
Okay.
So it's just over June 2.
Well.
To be fair, that's fair.
So you think it's not as good as There Will Be Blood or Prisoners?
No, it's
No.
not. No, it's not.
No.
That's fair.
We're very
There
good
you
at
go. I
scoring.
think-
We don't score compared to other films anyway.
No, we don't. No,
We score
exactly.
No,
on
just-
our own standing, because
That's right.
scoring's subjective, Nikki.
Is it? Who told you that?
That's
Oh, I
your
used to have
homework.
this producer, she was brilliant.
Yeah, and then I turned up and you got Thatcher.
So there you go. That
Okay,
is-
when the fuck did your typewriter turn into a computer? You're wicked.
What do you mean?
So that is
It's
Wicked.
magic.
What the
We are insisting that you go to the cinema to go and see Wicked. Sadly, none of the staff clocked on that every time when I went to Odeon and I would have got a bottle of water and I got my QR code scanned and etc. Every single time a member of staff did that for me, I went Wicked.
Did you?
Nah, and they didn't, and none of them flinched.
Maybe they just thought you were a fucking idiot.
They probably
Yeah.
also had got bored of hearing people saying that to them since the film came out,
Yeah, Wicked.
to be fair.
So there you go. That's Wicked.
It was
Looking
wicked.
forward to part 2
When's
Shall-
number 2 come out?
next year.
November 2025.
There you go. So let's crack on with homework.
That'll probably knock
Um,
Paddington off the top spot next year.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I think so. I think
Might be a
Paddington's going to
pound if
stay
that
there. Would we not like some reviews of Wicked?
Hell
Yes,
yeah.
Okay.
Only if they're good.
So who would we like to start with? We
Anyone
have...
but Tom.
Oh.
Joking, Tom. I'm
Oh,
joking.
in that case, that's the end of the podcast.
Okay. Papa.
No. Come on, Nikki. Let's crack on.
So we've got Jenna Killington,
Yes.
who said absolutely loved it, 10 out of 10. Hayley said spectacular, and I've seen it in the theatre 5 times. It surpassed all my expectations. Nina said loved it despite the numb bum when we got to the long-awaited end.
Right.
And
Bum.
Karen said loved it. Apparently they both sung all live, so pretty improvised. Thought the cast was amazing. And then we've also had a review from Sophie.
Yes.
She said, I loved Wicked at the theatre, so I had high expectations for the movie, and it certainly did not disappoint. The cast was great, Cynthia was superb, and OMG, Ariana Grande was amazing. The sets and costumes were beautiful, and the CGI was quality. For fans of Wizard of Oz, watch out for Easter eggs. It was truly enjoyable. I'm looking forward to part 2. My only negative criticism is that it felt a little too long at times. Some musical dancing scenes could have been a bit shorter, but so well worth watching at the cinema.
Ah, there you go.
And some twat next to me was eating beef monster munch and drinking gin.
Thank you very much, Sophie, for sending that review in. Now, we've had another review through for another film, haven't we, by Tucker TV?
We have, yes.
Do you want? Should we do that, or should we just crack on with some homework first and then do that review?
If you crack on with the homework first, please.
Sounds good to me. Peter, you got 2 bits of homework. Why don't we do a sandwich? You do your first bit.
Or I could do my 2 together.
You could do whatever you want, darling.
Okay, and there's a reason why.
Crack on then.
Because you sent me 2 pieces of homework over the previous 2 weeks of homework
did.
giving us. One of them was Audition from 1999.
Yes.
Which is an 1 hour 55 minutes long, which is 8 minutes too long for a horror film.
And what part of the world is that from?
Yes, from Japan, I believe.
Yes.
I said that really quickly, and then I just...
Could be Korean, but I think it's Japan.
You understand, it's an Asian film.
Exactly.
And this film is... Okay, and the other film that you sent me was MaDs from 2024,
Yes.
which is a French film.
That's correct.
Now, the reason I think I should review these 2 films together is because they are both horror films of some description.
I agree.
However, we have 2 horror films of incredibly different genres,
Definitely.
but have a very similar tempo to them, and that's
Yeah.
why I think we should review the 2
You know what?
together.
I like that.
Yeah, is that okay? Because we're going to do a very brief review of these 2 films.
Yeah.
So the Japanese film
Yes.
is basically
What's
about...
it called?
It's called Audition.
Thank you.
And it is about a guy whose wife is unfortunately terminally ill, and he has a young son.
That's right.
The son's mother passes away, sadly, and the son is of an age where he's about to leave home. So the husband of the passed away lady he's a bit somber and a bit kind of sad
Lonely.
about the whole thing. He works in the film industry, and he's got a friend who's a film producer who recommends that they audition people for a fictitious film for him to work out who he likes out of these ladies that he's going to audition for this film to become his new partner.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Well, what
Well.
could possibly go wrong is this, James.
It's a James movie.
I mean, this is your classic James movie, that we are led into a false sense of security with this really, the most archetypal, beautiful, delicate, discreet, elegant, pretty,
Actress.
quiet Japanese lady comes in to be auditioned, and she's the 10th audition, and all the rest are okay, but they don't wet his whistle.
Yes.
She walks in, and he's instantly
Smitten.
bamboozled. And he doesn't quite know why, but there is something about her. This film is 1 hour and 55 minutes long, and it takes probably 1 hour and 20 minutes to get to the point of this movie, which is that she's not a quiet, delicate, elegant. She's something else.
She is, isn't she?
And we get to learn about her being something else.
In depth.
But no, just by one of the most James-like moments I've ever seen in a movie ever, when we're in her apartment.
Yeah.
And there is like a rug or something behind her, and all of a sudden we realise it's a Hessian sack filled with a man, and the bag jumps from one side of the room to the other and scares the living shit out of you. And then we learn who this character actually is, and we see some things, don't we, James?
We do.
And she's got some really beautiful phrases, which I don't even remember what they mean anymore.
No,
but there's one moment where she's obliterating a human being, I think with chopsticks or needles or something, and she's just looking and going, kiri kiri, kiri kiri kiri, and I'm just like going, I don't know whether that's cute because you're stabbing a man in the eye with a needle, but you're saying something really, I mean, it's the most Japanese of horrors.
Very gentle,
until it's
but
not.
horrific.
Yeah, it is.
It's gently horrific.
So that's that one. That's Audition.
Yes.
And
Do you recommend it?
I think you've got to be a true horror fan to get through this, because it's obviously foreign language film.
Yep.
It takes a long time to get to the twist. If you're a fan of James-like films, this is a very, very good James-like film.
Okay.
It's I gave it a 7.
Nice.
Yeah, which is a good film.
Yeah, I'd say.
I've grown to love a Jamesy type film. It's not the greatest one of them that I've
No,
seen,
but
but it is
it's quality.
I think everything Jamesy for me is around about a 7 movie. I'm going to enjoy it, but there are better movies out there for me, so I think 7 is a comfortable sit.
I'm with you.
MaDs is again a very steadily paced film.
But it starts off. I mean, it starts, doesn't it? You'd have to wait ages for it to kick off.
No, it doesn't. But even when it kicks off, this one doesn't really kick off.
No.
Because again, you're led down the wrong street for a bit. Yeah.
Because you only saw it. So to interrupt.
no problem.
Because our first conversation about this film is that obviously I'd seen this film previously, and I was so excited to give you this film, and then you went to explain to me that you'd only seen maybe the first 25-30 minutes of it, and I thought, okay, you've only seen the first introduction.
I've reviewed the first half of this film already.
That's right.
And for those of you who didn't see the previous podcast, tut on you.
Yeah.
But however, it's basically about, we're following a guy called Romain who is taking drugs with his friend.
That's right.
He
Pink cocaine in
cocaine,
France.
yeah, absolutely. And they and then he goes off driving in his dad's car.
Yes.
He kind of bumps into this bandaged weird woman, and she gets taken back to his house. She's in mad panic and just kind of like screaming and distraught, and so he kind of wants to look after her, but is really, really panicked about it himself. Takes her back to his father's house.
That's right.
And it becomes very apparent that his dad is a real narcissist, and he's actually weirdly the son appears to be more frightened of his dad than he is of this weird.
I know,
woman.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he shouldn't be.
No.
Because this is basically the onset of a zombie movie, and Romain is contaminated and basically goes to a party where he is already on the turn.
Yes.
And all of his classmates and friends are trying to kind of interact with him, and he's clearly not in a good headspace, and we don't really know why. We realise he's got a little bit of a tic, but nothing kind of particularly, dramatic kind of happens. And then the story shifts at this point where Romain is no longer the lead character of this film.
I know.
And it's the first time I've ever seen that before.
Exactly. That's what drew me in.
Yeah, it's really clever that basically, actually, the hero of this piece isn't really introduced as the hero of the piece until much further down the film. And then we follow this girl who I can't remember what her name is. I didn't write any notes about this film. I just wanted to do this very naturally and kind of say what I thought about it. Her
tic was incredible, I thought.
And basically, she is the howling lunatic at the end of this film.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting.
It's fast paced. I think with even with the lack of narration and the lack of special effects and the lack of bravado and so on, I think it's a very highbrow zombie movie.
It's a very highbrow zombie movie, and the word that you're not saying, which I think you mean, is that we're looking at human emotion in a zombie apocalypse.
Absolutely.
And actually, the acting in this is very, very good.
Yeah.
And so
it took me completely by surprise.
Yeah.
So it's called MaDs. It starts with a capital M, small A, capital D, and an S.
Capital M, small AD, and a capital S.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a 7.5. It's the top end of James movies.
Yeah, it is. And the pace of it's perfect.
But it's not a rapid paced film. It's not. I mean,
so I thought it was quite
there's
fast
a bump
paced.
at the beginning when he meets the woman, and I think from then on in, it's a steady jog the whole way through it.
Yeah,
and I thought actually that was the pace of that film. It was the making of that film. Do you know what it was? It was French Cool. Is what it was.
Exactly.
It was that, and just added a touch more than Audition. Audition has more of a comedic value to it, and the violence is like unbelievably brutal.
It's beautiful.
If you love a slasher, then
it's just joyfully horrific.
Joyfully horrific.
Yes,
exactly right. Both are
exactly.
really good. So thanks, James. Two really good bits of homework.
Thank you very, very much.
Just quickly, with MaDs, it's available on Amazon Prime Video with a subscription, and Audition is available on BFI Player with a subscription, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Google Play, Apple TV, and Sky Store.
Everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. So I'm going to... Shall I give you your homework first, or shall I talk my home? So I thought, because I knew that you were quite giddy about Wicked.
Oh, I thought I'd kept that powder
No,
quite dry.
you didn't. No, I kept it dry. I think you were quite gushy at the end. I did a bit of research on some my witchy type movies that I've liked to watch in the past.
Okay.
Witchy type, oh god.
And I've got a fantastic one for it. It's a 2015 movie. It's available on Prime. and it's called The Witch.
Okay.
Okay. It is based in New England in 1630. It is super dark. It's technically all black and white. It is. It's a slow. I'm just warning. It is a slow-paced movie, but the gravitas of it just grows and grows and grows and grows. And it's think Lighthouse with William Dafoe, that sort of level.
Okay.
Okay. So that's my homework for you. It's called The Witch.
Wicked.
It's available on YouTube, Google Play, Apple TV, Sky Store, Amazon Prime, and something called Tubi, Tubi,
Tubi.
which is free of charge apparently.
No, for
Yeah,
a
but it's
period of time.
subscription or whatever
Yeah.
it is, which is fine because as long as you remember to
There's a
unsubscribe.
Tubi and there's a movie.
There's a movie. I quite like movie. Anyway, who doesn't? So I've got my homework to talk about now.
Which I can't even remember what it's called. It's called like Perfect Day or
That's
something.
exactly. It's called Perfect Days.
Yeah, okay.
It is based in Tokyo and it follows the life of a toilet cleaner
Yeah.
for approximately a week. Okay. There's virtually no text in this film at all. The lack of communication with the human beings out there is initially a little bit off-putting, and then you really embrace it after a while. You enjoy the silence of the film. It's
Love
beautiful.
silence.
It really don't well, particularly when I'm talking. So it follows the life of this incredibly sort of isolated individual who lives a life that in a way, because I don't live in Japan and I'm not that familiar with how Japan people live. Initially, I was confused to start off with whether this character was a stereotypical lifestyle in Japan, because obviously it's always very alien when you go to a different country. And he lives in an incredibly low-key situation where he's got a tiny mattress, he's got a straw carpet, he's got no utilities in the house at all. In fact, he's literally got one sink in his house where he gets out of bed, brushes his teeth, and he goes to somewhere else to wash. There are vending machines absolutely everywhere where he goes. Everywhere he parks his van, there's a vending machine. So he'll go and grab a coffee from the vending machine. He has got one uniform that he hangs up every single night from his. The best way I can describe this film, it is nothing but routine. The routine is everything. And so you start your morning in exactly the same way every single morning, apart from there's one day off during the week. So it starts off in the morning where he's woken by the sweeping of the street sweeper sweeping his pavement outside his room. And he just wakes up, takes a gigantic in breath, and just sits up and just cracks on with his day. There's no alarm clocks, there's no radios, there's no TV, and he puts his uniform on, and he takes such gigantic pride in every single thing that he does. Every single toilet he cleans, it is cleaned to the highest specification, to the point where he's actually got a little mirror and he's going around the back of the tiles to make sure that all the tiles are perfect. And he really epitomizes, is that a word? Is that a word? I've just made that one up.
No, and I was going to correct you and tell you what the word was, but now you've said it twice, I can't think what the actual word is.
Epitomises?
Epitomise? Jesus! Well, that's why you're our producer.
Exactly. He epitomizes the sheer joy of starting a job, finishing a job, and walking away knowing very well that you've done your absolute excellence at every single job, even to the point where he's folding his bed in the morning and putting it into the corner. It is so watchable, this film, and the lack of there's virtually no plot to this film at all. It's literally 2 hours of him doing daily routines.
I am loving this.
It is beautiful. It is. I mean, I follow several Japanese Facebook accounts where they literally make pottery out of a block of clay.
Yeah, like teapots and stuff.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah.
And they slap it with a sex paddle.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and then they end up making this. So it's very similar to that. You get that endorphin rush by watching somebody start a job, finish a job, and walk away, and you go, "Oh, that's fantastic." Now, during this movie, the story plot comes in. During the movie, you get the odd curveball. Okay, so he interacts with certain people, and there's a fellow co-worker, for instance, which really breaks the fourth wall about what part of society he's living in and what part of time he's living in, because you have no idea this could be set in the 1970s, because even the car's not that modern. And you realise it's actually modern day life, and this chap is actually living almost in the past in modern day. So we live in a very, very simple lifestyle. So his co-worker is very young. He's got that sort of millennial thing going on there, and you realise it sort of breaks that sort of that moment of calm where he's on the phone and he's not really doing his job properly, and you're waiting for our main character to lose his shit. Okay, all the way through the movie he interacts with different people and he thinks to himself, at this point he's going to lose it. And ever so often you see a little bit of emotional sort of baggage being sort of dropped off, and he has a bit of a cry every so often, or he has a bit of a moment every so often, and then he just carries on with his life. There's another beautiful theme going all the way through this film, is the music. Okay, now the music is brought through him playing cassette tapes, and he plays a cassette tape not in his house, only ever in his van. Okay, and he's got all his cassette tapes over, and so every morning he'll either listen to a Lou Reed track, or he'll listen to a Nick Cave track.
Oh my word!
Yeah,
you are loving this film.
Yeah. And everybody mentions, don't you listen to Spotify? And he goes, where's the Spotify shop? You know what I mean? He's that out of touch with reality. Is absolutely quite beautiful. And his daily routine about finishing work, and then he goes to a bar, and they always give him a free drink, and then he has a bite to eat, and he jumps on his bicycle, and he goes and has a shower at the public showers, and then he goes home, and he reads a book by just one single light, and he goes to sleep, and his day all starts all over again. And it is a beautiful moment in filmmaking that you just sit back and go, I'm not going to judge this. I'm not going to try to figure out what the plot is. I'm not trying to figure out what he's thinking. I'm just going to enjoy what I'm looking at and just be
a sponge.
Yes, it is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful film. I recommend everybody should watch this film, particularly if you feel a bit lost emotionally, or if you feel a bit lost in society or in the world, and you look at it and go, he feels so secure in his world and so happy. Not even happy, because it's not. Ever so often he grins ever so often, and then there's other moments where he'll just finish a really mundane task, and he'll look up at the sky, and he'll look at his relationship with trees is fascinating. It's like everybody goes, "Are trees your friend?" And he shrugs, and it's obvious that he finds beauty in the most mundane, tiny little things in the world. That doesn't make him giddy; it just makes him content, and he knows his place in the universe.
So I find that description really profound, because I actually think that's in our professional lives, that's what you and I do.
Yes.
That we are not the most materialistic people.
No.
But we work in industries where some of the things that we sell are
incredibly
expensive.
Exactly.
And the way that I justify that in my life is whether something costs a tiny amount of money when you buy it, or a lot of money when you buy it, I've still put the same effort, love and attention into it. And I know that you're exactly the same with your tailoring, and I think that's a very, very healthy and warm, nutritious way to live your life.
It's a very healthy watch. This is a healthy watch. If you compare this to The Apprentice, you couldn't get any two opposites to each other. It is, and I watched the two in the same week, and it is a beautiful. It is called Perfect Day for a reason, and you need to watch it because it's going to make your day perfect.
I'm going to watch it this week. Can't wait.
I'm giving it a 10.
Wow.
I'm giving it a 10, honestly.
Love it.
Because it is perfect in every single way. It really is beautiful.
Oh, I am absolutely thrilled. And do you remember how I recommended this as homework? It was an epiphany in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. How cool
And you
is
said that Japanese film about something, and I
you
said it
Googled
was
It's just I'm so happy.
So it actually won 8 awards and had 39 nominations, and one of those nominations
Chainsaw
was actually for an Oscar for Best International Feature Film at the last Oscars that have just gone,
amazing.
and I'm not surprised.
I'm
it's all
so
from
pleased
the...
that popped into my head a few weeks
Honestly.
ago.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about adding that to our list of films that we're going to be projecting in our cinema.
Okay, cool, perfect.
Yes, beautiful film.
This is a really long episode.
We got one quick last review,
Yes.
Go for
and
it.
then we'll finish it. So this is from Hannah Tucker, and she reviewed Piece by Piece,
Oh yes,
which I believe is
none
the
of us have seen. So we need
Lego
to...
movie based on, is it Pharrell Williams'
That's
life?
right. Yes.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hello, Popcorn Pundits. This is my review about the film Piece by Piece, which is Pharrell Williams' life story shown entirely as a Lego animation documentary. Watching this I'd forgotten just how much of a massive impact on music Pharrell has had, aside from the obvious hits like Happy. The film is packed full of appearances from musicians Pharrell's worked with, from Justin Timberlake to Kendrick Lamar, which I loved. The Lego animation is very cool. It's fresh and colourful, and it works really well as a way of showing Pharrell's incredible imagination and his artistic vision. The flip side of this is when the film deals with hard subjects such as Pharrell losing his way musically and the Black Lives Matter protests, it just can't convey the weight of these issues because Lego format doesn't lend to these serious topics, and it all felt a bit strange. The reason it's all done in Lego is never really explained, but his outlook on life is how you should take things and build them up to be something better. So I guess he's linking it to Lego that way. Overall, I did enjoy this film, but I did wonder who the target audience is. My son loves Lego, but would not find the film interesting as he doesn't know most of the music. And a lot of adults would probably be put off by the Lego format. I think this borne out by the fact that there are only 2 of us in the cinema. And halfway through, when it was dragging a little bit, I realised that I might not have gone to see it if I'd known it was a 90 minutes biopic. And if it wasn't in the Lego format, I probably wouldn't have watched it at all. Saying that, I loved the bits of the film that dealt with his incredible imagination. They were a joy to watch, and the film just about worked. But because there were a few things lacking, I'll give it a 7. Thank you.
What a fantastic review.
Great review, and I think she needs
Amazing
to remember
review.
that it could be Robbie Williams as a monkey. I mean, I think it's a great format to watch a movie, isn't it?
Well, they're all doing it now, aren't they? They're all reinventing themselves, but they're not putting themselves on a pedestal. They're using another format to promote themselves.
Her review actually made me want to go and see that. I think
Interesting.
I think I'd like to go and see that.
Yeah.
You did a Peter. Were you about to do something?
No, I
Say
was just
something.
pressing. I was just touching
I
myself.
thought you were. That doesn't surprise me one bit.
I'm going to be rubbing you in a minute. You're wearing corduroy.
How can people find us, follow us, contact us?
Peter,
Restraining
over to
Oh,
you.
so
Yes.
if they want to contact us, the best thing to do is to leave a little comment under our YouTube video. Or you can get in contact with us via our Facebook page or our Instagram or our WhatsApp. And if you want to watch us, we are on YouTube and Facebook. And
That's right.
if you want to listen to us, you can download our podcast from wherever you choose to download your podcasts from.
Like you are now, because you're obviously listening to our podcast.
Yeah, but I was asked to do all of it, so I did all of it.
Exactly.
And if you keep an eye on our social media over the next couple of weeks, we've got a very exciting announcement of a project that we're working on.
Which
In the
he
new year.
actually bombed earlier on. He actually dropped it into conversation earlier on.
Exactly. So in the new
Did you
year,
miss that?
No, I heard it.
what you need to do as a Popcorn Pundit listener, you need to keep Friday the 31st of January free. That's all we're going to
Yes.
give away.
Yes.
Okay?
And be local to the Maidenhead, Marlow, Bourne End area.
Or
Exactly.
be willing to
I was
travel.
going to say, or be able to make it there.
James,
Exactly.
did he put anyone up at his house who travels?
Yeah.
Of course it will.
Yeah, he told me that as well. I've got that actually in writing.
I've got somebody across the road who's got a spare room. Anyway, so
This has been a really interesting episode.
I've enjoyed
to
this
do.
episode. We've
It's
had
been great.
highs and lows,
Yeah, we've got 2 mega highs in it.
mega highs.
And one of the worst lows.
Well, happens, doesn't it? Would you like to prepare us out?
I would.
Go for it.
Lawrence, this is for you. Pa 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 pa.
Popcorn Pundits. Week
Podcast.
57.
week 57. Thanks for listening.
That was